Hey everyone, we are back. It's Jake Hall along with me with Chris Luecke, and we have a special guest today, Travis Turner. Travis, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Great to be here.
Awesome. So we are here. We're checking out some really cool processes, and right now we're looking at finishing, sanding, and really a lot of other applications here. Tell us more about it. What is finishing? How does this impact manufacturing?
Well, when you're helping Dad in the garage, right, and you're doing a little sanding on the car, those are great skills to learn as a kid. When you do that for a living and you hold on to something that's vibrating for 8-10 hours a day for, say, 30 years, maybe not as great of a thing to do as far as a long-term career trajectory. This is some of the dirtiest, noisiest, highest vibration work in a plant, which makes it ripe for that automation, just repetitive motion trying to deburr and sand parts.
Awesome. And so what does it look like for a lot of applications out there? What are the first steps that go into figuring out if sanding is an industry that with robotics that makes sense for an end user?
Yeah, the robotics were a little later to some of the deburr processes than they were maybe to welding or material handling because it takes a lot of sensing back through the robot to know how hard you're pushing on something, and even small variations in the product can affect that. And now all of that's pretty much built in. KUKA's done a fantastic job with some of the processes they offer. And now you're getting closer to the plug-and-play opportunity to go after deburring projects.
We want to learn a little bit about Eckhart as well. And for anyone watching the video, I've been trying to dodge the robot because I realize it's not dodge the robot, but it's right behind me. So I want to get some good shots of it so you can see what's going on. But tell us a bit about Eckhart and maybe, where you started and what you're focused on now.
Yeah, Eckhart's an industrial automation tooling supplier. Started out in the automotive industry back in the late 50s, supplying to the big three. Anytime you see a car driving down the road, somebody had to put all those parts on and torque a bunch of bolts, right? And we make lots of tools to help pick things up and secure those, and that was kind of the founding of the company. But Industry 4.0 is where we are today, and all of those technologies and helping integrate those is kind of how Eckhart's grown up in the automotive space beyond just the traditional tooling now.
Awesome. Fantastic. So you mentioned KUKA as a great partner before, just earlier in the conversation. What does it mean to work with KUKA? What are fun applications that you guys have done together? And then what are some other industries that, Eckhart's a part of?
Yeah, that's one of the benefits of KUKA. There's it's kind of the multi-tool, the Leatherman approach, because we're doing material removal right here. Over there, we're 3D printing. Over there, we're bin picking. Over there, we're water jet. So the flexibility and the technology partnership is great, and they allow us to go after a lot of different industry segments and a lot of different applications in those industries.
Awesome. And as Eckhart, what are some of the industries that you guys are involved in that you offer solutions to?
Yeah, so automotive is a big part of our business, kind of the Ford, GM, Chrysler space and all the tiered suppliers to them. Heavy industrial, which is a lot of different companies, the John Deere's, Case New Holland's, JLG's, all of that heavy manufacturing. There's a lot of labor, a lot of welding, a lot of grinding going on in those spaces. We do things in med device and food and beverage and a little bit of electronics, so it's a pretty wide industry.
And I was perusing your website before we chatted, and something jumped out at me in terms of the things you do. And you do Factory of the Future consulting. And I don't see that as, let's call it a line item on most manufacturing or industrial companies' pages. So in simple terms, as if we were having a beverage with one another, how would you describe what Factory of the Future is in general and how one consults around that?
So Factory of the Future, there are some companies out there that have whole departments involved with what does our facility look like in 2027, 2030, right? I need 30% more output, and I have to do it with 15% less employees because they're just not out there, right? The boomers are retiring faster and faster every day, and the workforce is not there. So how do I increase that output, right? Even with those big departments, there's still questions about what industry precedents are there, what technologies are up and coming. Now think about a smaller industry or company in between, maybe above mom and pop, but below that Fortune 500. They don't have that department, but they have the same problems. They have the same labor shortages. They have the same industry challenges with supply chain. We're there to kind of help them see that vision. Where should we deploy capital? What's the best ROI? Do I need this robot or that robot? Do I need AGVs? All of those technologies are out there. And, if you've got a small engineering department, they're living the day-to-day firefighting life. And it's really hard to dedicate time. And so we partner with companies like that to help them kind of see what that future factory looks like.
Now, I always love examples of how robots have helped companies automate solutions. Can you give us an example of using a robot application that was able to go in and change a dark, dirty, dangerous process and really help transform and move that company forward into the world of automating, hard tasks?
Yeah. So if you can think, I think everybody knows what a nail looks like, right? A normal nail. Now assume that nail is about 2 feet long, right? That comes out of a machine that's going to heat up the end and stamp the head on that nail. So if you're a person and your job is to grab onto the nail, your end is really hot, my end is only mostly hot, put it in a press, stamp the head on it, and put it in a bucket. They've been doing that for a couple hundred years. We've deployed some robots in the last few years that are doing that now instead of the people, and that's one of the simple, obvious, dirty, hot, not a great safety situation. And that operator can get retrained and redeployed into something that's going to, put him less in danger.
And probably, enjoy his job a little bit more along the way.
There's a good chance that he can do something besides move around for 30 seconds at a time for 10 straight hours. You got it.
I want to bring a couple of the last two questions together real quick. Robots in Factory of the Future. I think a common lesson that in all of our conversations are, hey, when you're talking digital transformation, Factory of the Future, whatever the word is for it, right? It's people, process, and technology. Technology is kind of one of the, once you figure out the goal, making sure you have the right people working together, figuring out what processes are, technology kind of comes last in that regard. But I'd love to kind of break my own rules and hear from you. How do robotics play into the Factory of the Future?
So robotics are simply a tool in the toolbox of automation and manufacturing. Mm-hmm. And when you need a hammer is the most fantastic tool in the world.
Yeah.
It doesn't duplicate itself as a scalpel very well, right? And robots are no different. And cobots, specifically, cobots are like the exciting, shiny thing all the time. Lots of customers want to talk about cobots, and there are applications where they are the scalpel that you need. Other times, they really don't need a cobot, and you don't necessarily want to tell them they're wrong. They're a customer, but it's not the best application for them. So there's so many applications. Many of them are here displayed in the KUKA booth that robots can do. And there's other things that maybe they're not the best ROI. That Factory of the Future helps you lay out where that is. Where should that capital go? They maybe want to talk about a project over here, 6 feet away, walking through their facility, doing a line walk. You're like, well, what about this, guys? This is way more low-hanging fruit. Less cost to integrate, less work to keep it up, better safety, all good.
I don't know if we can get a better answer on how, to think about robots and technology and tools and getting done what you need to in the Factory of the Future and beyond. So I think we wrap with that. I got to say, Travis, thanks for jumping on with us.
You bet. It's great to be here, guys. Thanks.
Cheers.